5 years. 5 years of watching the door, hoping she'd walk through it. 5 years of raising our son alone, answering his questions about where Mommy went. 5 years of anger, confusion, and a pain I didn't know was possible. But then she came back. And what happened next changed everything. Welcome to Hearts Mended, where real stories show us that sometimes the people we think are gone forever can find their way home. And sometimes forgiveness is the only thing that can make us whole again. If you believe in second chances and redemption, please like this video, subscribe, and share your story in the comments. This is my story. This is how I learned to forgive. Her name was Sarah. We met in college, fell in love immediately, and got married at 26. She was vibrant, full of dreams, adventurous in a way I'd never been. I loved that about her. I loved how she made me feel alive. We had our son, Lucas, when we were both 29. Sarah was an incredible mother, patient, loving, creative. She'd spend hours building block towers with him, reading him stories, singing him to sleep. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was real. But somewhere around Lucas's 5th birthday, something shifted in Sarah. It was subtle at first. She'd stare out the window for long periods. She'd say things like, "I feel like I'm disappearing," and "I don't recognize myself anymore." I thought it was postpartum depression, even though Lucas was 5. I suggested therapy. She said she was fine. Then one day, about 6 months later, she started talking about taking a solo trip. Just a week in California to visit her sister. She needed time to find herself, she said. I supported it. I thought a week away would help her reset. But when she left, something felt different. The way she kissed Lucas goodbye felt like more than a goodbye. The way she looked at me felt like she was memorizing my face. I didn't know that she wasn't coming back. The first week, I thought there was a delay. Maybe her flight was canceled. Maybe she decided to stay an extra day with her sister. The second week, I started calling. Her sister said Sarah had left after 3 days. She wouldn't say why. Sarah wasn't answering her phone. By the 3rd week, I knew something was terribly wrong. I filed a missing persons report. The police told me that Sarah had used her credit card at a bus station, so she wasn't in danger. She'd left intentionally. That's when reality hit me. She didn't leave to find herself. She left to leave us. I was devastated. I was angry. I was confused. Most of all, I was terrified about what to tell Lucas. "Where's Mommy?" he asked every single day for months. And I didn't know what to say. How do you tell a 5-year-old that his mother abandoned him? How do you explain something you don't understand yourself? I threw myself into being both mother and father to Lucas. I worked during the day, picked him up from school, helped with homework, made dinner, read bedtime stories. I did it all alone. And I did it while carrying a pain so deep that some days I could barely breathe. The anger came later. It was consuming. How could she do this? How could she leave her son? How could she leave me to raise him alone? What kind of mother does that? I didn't hear from Sarah for 2 years. Nothing. No calls, no messages, no explanation. Just silence. Then one day, a check arrived. Child support. Along with a letter that simply said, "I'm sorry. I'm not ready to explain. But I'm trying to be better." That made it worse. Because sorry doesn't bring back 5 years of Lucas asking for his mother. Sorry doesn't fix the hole she left in his heart. I won't lie, I spent years hating her. I told Lucas stories that made her seem like a hero for leaving, not a villain. I said, Mommy had to go find herself because she wasn't happy. I protected him from my rage because he didn't deserve to inherit my pain. But I carried it. Every single day for 5 years, I carried the anger. I dated a few people, but nothing stuck. How could I trust someone when the person I'd promised forever to had walked out without explanation? How could I be vulnerable again? My therapist asked me one day, "What would it take for you to forgive her?" And I said, "She'd have to come back and explain. And even then, I don't know if I could." But deep down, I knew I needed to forgive her. Not for her sake. For Lucas's sake. For my own sake. Because carrying this anger was destroying me. Lucas grew up asking questions about his mother. By the time he was 10, he understood on some level that she'd chosen to leave. And that broke my heart all over again, watching my son come to terms with the fact that his mother didn't want him. I made sure he knew it wasn't his fault. I made sure he knew that her leaving had nothing to do with him. But I could see the pain in his eyes. And I hated her for putting it there. 5 years. That's a long time to raise a child alone. That's a long time to be angry. I was at work when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello," I said. "Hi, it's Sarah." My heart stopped. I couldn't speak. "I know I have no right to call you," she continued, her voice shaking. "I know I have no right to ask for anything. But I need to see you. I need to explain. I owe you that much." I wanted to hang up. I wanted to tell her to never contact me again. But something in her voice, genuine remorse, real pain, made me pause. "Where are you?" I asked. "I'm in the city. I've been here for 3 months. I wanted to reach out sooner, but I didn't know if you'd even want to hear from me." We arranged to meet at a coffee shop the next day. I didn't sleep that night. I was nervous, angry, curious, and terrified all at once. When I saw her, I barely recognized her. She looked older, tired, broken. She'd lost weight. Her eyes were haunted. "Hi," she said quietly. "Hi," I replied. I didn't know what else to say. We sat down, and for a long moment, we just looked at each other. 5 years. 5 years of absence, and now here she was. "I don't know where to start," she finally said. "Start with why you left," I replied. My voice was steady, but inside, I was shaking. Sarah took a deep breath. "I was suffocating," she said. "I know that sounds like an excuse. But I was suffocating. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I went from being this free, adventurous person to being a wife and a mother, and I felt like I'd disappeared." "So you left," I said. "It wasn't a question." "I left because I was broken," she continued. "I left because I didn't know how to ask for help. I left because I was too scared to tell you the truth, that I was depressed, that I was having panic attacks, that I felt like I was dying inside." I listened. I didn't interrupt. "The first year, I was running," she said. "I lived in different cities, worked different jobs, tried to find myself. But I realized I couldn't run from the fact that I'd abandoned my family. That I'd abandoned Lucas. That I'd abandoned you." She started crying. "The second year, I tried to get my life together. I got therapy. Real therapy. I was diagnosed with severe postpartum depression and anxiety. I was also dealing with unresolved trauma from my childhood that I'd never addressed. I was a mess. Why didn't you come back?" I asked. "Why didn't you reach out?" "Because I was ashamed," she said. "I was so ashamed of what I'd done. I thought Lucas would be better off without me. I thought you'd be better off without me. I thought the best thing I could do was stay away." "You were wrong," I said, my voice cold. "Lucas needed his mother. He still needs his mother. And you weren't there." Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know. And I will never forgive myself for that. I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to him." "And to me?" I asked. "I know I have no right to ask for forgiveness from you," she said. I know I broke your trust, broke your heart, and broke your family. I know 5 years is a long time. I know you've probably moved on, built a new life. I haven't, I said. I've been stuck. For 5 years, I've been stuck in the anger and the pain of what you did. Sarah looked down. I understand. And I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. We sat in silence for a long time. I didn't forgive her that day. I wasn't ready. But over the next few weeks, Sarah and I started meeting regularly. She explained everything, her mental health struggles, her family trauma, her fears about motherhood that she'd never voiced. She didn't make excuses. She took responsibility for every choice she'd made. More importantly, she started asking about Lucas. She wanted to know everything about him, his favorite books, his dreams, his fears. She cried when she learned that he'd been asking about her, wondering if she was ever coming back. I want to meet him, she said. If you'll let me. I know it's not fair to ask. I know he's probably hurt and angry. But I want to try to be his mother again. That was the hardest conversation I had with myself. Did I want Lucas to have a relationship with the woman who'd abandoned him? Did I want to open that door for him to potentially be hurt again? But I also realized something. Sarah was the same person who had loved Lucas fiercely when he was born. She was the same person who had sung him to sleep and built block towers with him. She had made a terrible choice, but that didn't erase the years of love that came before. And more than that, I realized that holding on to my anger wasn't hurting Sarah, it was hurting me. It was hurting Lucas. So I made a choice. I chose to forgive. Not because what Sarah did was okay. Not because 5 years of pain could be erased with an apology. But because I was tired of carrying the weight of that anger. Because I wanted to be free. Because I wanted Lucas to have the chance to know his mother again. Okay, I told Sarah. You can meet him. But we take it slow. And if at any point I feel like he's being hurt, we stop. Sarah nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much. The first meeting was awkward. Lucas was 11 now. He barely remembered his mother. But as they talked, something shifted. I could see his curiosity. I could see him trying to reconcile the mother he remembered with the woman sitting in front of him. Why did you leave? He asked her directly. Sarah didn't shy away from the question. Because I was sick, sweetie. I had something in my brain that made me very sad and very scared. And instead of asking for help, I ran away. And that was wrong. I hurt you and your father, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you going to leave again? He asked. No, Sarah said firmly. I'm in therapy. I'm taking medication. I'm doing everything I can to make sure I never hurt you like that again. Over the months that followed, Sarah and Lucas rebuilt their relationship. It wasn't perfect. There was still pain there, pain that might never fully go away. But there was also love. The same love that had been there before she left. And as for me, I realized that forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about releasing yourself from the burden of carrying it. I didn't get back together with Sarah. That chapter of my life was closed. But I learned to see her as a flawed human being who had made terrible choices while dealing with untreated mental illness. I learned to separate the person I married from the person who left. And I learned that forgiveness is possible, even when it feels impossible. 5 years. That's how long she was gone. But it's also how long it took for me to understand that sometimes people don't leave because they don't love us. Sometimes they leave because they're drowning and they don't know how to ask for help. That doesn't excuse what she did. It doesn't erase the pain she caused. But it does explain it. And understanding is the first step toward forgiveness. If you have someone in your life who abandoned you, who hurt you deeply, who left without explanation, I want you to know that healing is possible. Forgiveness is possible, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. Like this video if this story moved you. Subscribe to Hearts Mended for more stories of redemption, reconciliation, and the healing power of forgiveness. And please, share your story in the comments. Have you forgiven someone who left you? Are you still waiting for an explanation? Is there someone you need to reach out to? Your stories matter. Your healing matters. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for witnessing my journey from anger to understanding to forgiveness. And remember, no matter how long someone has been gone, it's never too late to reconcile. It's never too late to heal. Sometimes, all it takes is one conversation, one moment of honesty, one choice to forgive.